Yo, welcome to In My House. We got a brand new episode today with my good friends Ash Halo. They're a EDM pop hybrid duo from my hometown, Winnipeg. They've got decades of music experience on their own journeys. They have their own individual bands before coming together as Ash Halo, and we talk about everything from music production, traveling on the road, mental health, and much, much more. So make some noise for Ash Halo. Let's get into it.
Woo!
Hey,
Yay!
let's go.
Let's fucking go!
Yo. Here we are in the flesh.
Whoa.
How you guys doing?
Am I real?
Am I real?
Am I AI?
Is any of this real?
Is any of this real?
I'm here.
How you guys doing?
Can't complain. We just had soup with two really good homies.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Always on the soup. We gotta
Yeah.
have our, weekly pho
Yep.
whenever I'm in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the Soup Squad.
So what's new in the Ash Halo world, or what's new in the Sarah and Dave world?
We just planted our garden.
Oh, tell me about that.
Yep.
What you got? What you got going on in this garden?
We got some yellow zucchini. Got about 12 different tomato plants. Did you say 12 or more?
24.
Oh,
24.
24 tomato plants.
Nice.
Doing two different types of eggplant. We have, what are they called?
Cucamelons.
Cucamelons.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, a watermelon cucumber hybrid.
Yeah.
Nice.
Where'd you find that?
At Paul's
Garden
greenhouse.
shop.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
garden
that's
center
cool.
here. It's a local garden center here. And that one has apparently gets really crazy vines. So we have a trellis all set up so that it
Yeah.
do its thing. And then, green onions, all the herbs, all the basic herbs.
You guys both have green thumbs?
No, we didn't used to. It was COVID. COVID
developed
started
the
the
green thumb,
green
that's
thumb.
cool.
Yeah.
What did you ever get to see the hot pepper operation that I have on my garage?
No?
So in the back, we do hot peppers in pots.
Oh
And,
shit.
and our garage is it has a very low angle to it, so it's almost flat. It's just very slightly angled for drip purposes. And so we have 35 pots on top of the garage so that it gets light all day.
Yeah.
And then I have an irrigation system going up there, so we just turn a knob and it waters all the plants while they're up there.
Oh, nice.
So the hot peppers get full sun so that they can, bloom, and then I make all my hot sauces from that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dave's like a actual jack of all trades.
Oh, his engineer brain is very helpful. Very helpful. Well, and then we have a huge compost, and then every year, when you kind of put the garden to bed, we end up with a big pile of dirt in the back. So we've turned our extra dirt pile into a root vegetable garden in our back alley.
Oh wow.
Basically, so we just
look at you guys go.
well, I don't know, we have a bag of potatoes that has a bunch of eyes on it. And so we just plant all those potatoes, and then I found a bunch of carrots with a bunch of little knobs on them, so we just planted those. And then every once in a while, something new from our compost will grow. We've had an avocado plant start out of just nowhere
Oh, wow.
in our garden, just because there was a avocado pit in our compost.
Do you find
you know?
it's very therapeutic away
Yeah.
from music and work?
Yes, very therapeutic. I don't know. I find when you just we do all of our watering and everything late at night. We're night owls. So just putting in a podcast or an audiobook and just watering and just zoning out.
Do you feel like it helps with your focus?
I think it helps with de-stressing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
It
Yeah,
helps with de-stressing.
I can
But
see that.
It's one of those things though. It's a catch-22 because we always have so much on the go with all the many hats we wear. So it's oh, I got to water the garden. And then you finally get out there and start watering. And you're oh yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
When you're not doing it, you have to, and it's one of those things you have to fit in.
Yeah.
It stresses you out, but then once you're doing
Once
it,
you're doing it, yeah.
you're oh,
That's how I feel about
yeah.
the gym or meditation.
right, yeah.
I gotta do this, but I promise myself I'm gonna make it a non-negotiable. And then when you're in it, you're oh yeah, this is why I do it.
But
Totally.
there's certainly therapeutical elements to it, though, especially through the slow progress of the growth of the plants.
Yeah.
And then you get to see kind of their natural beauty appear. Plus, the smell, especially how tomato plants smell, the leaves, how it smells. There's a very therapeutic element to it that being in your garden and pruning and in the afternoon being out there in the sun and just seeing it all thrive.
Plus we
very
talk to our
therapeutic.
plants.
Yeah.
We talk to them.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
I know people that play like classical music to their plants.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually I've heard of that.
Or people that grow weed and they do that, weed plants.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll end up in the studio. Welcome to our studio, by the way.
Oh yeah, welcome to Ash Halo's studio.
Yeah, this is our studio. This is our sanctuary. But we'll end up like here till the sun comes up, and then we'll arrive home at like 6 a.m, and then we'll just go and be like, oh, look, there's a little watermelon started. Hey, little guy. And like just we talk to her. Just go check out. It's like almost like a ritual. Like come home from the studio, go talk to the garden, and then go to bed.
That's a good ritual.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you guys both of you do wear a lot of hats. So I think you should tell people about that. But let's start with your music background, because you both have very extensive music backgrounds. You've both been in music for over a decade, maybe 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
With some of you.
Yep.
So let's dive into it individually first, and then we'll go to where you're at now.
My family is very musical. It's a thing. People debate about this. Like, is it in your blood? I think it is. I think there's no question. People's family just have it. And I have a whole bunch of uncles and cousins and other distant family members as well that have just been musicians for their whole lives in different elements. A lot of country musicians and stuff. So I was around music when I was really young. I learned how to play drums when I was like 5 years old. And so I ended up being like a drummer in a bunch of different kind of punk rock, alt rock.
Yeah.
Try to be like Radiohead kind of sounding, that kind of rock bands in my teens leading out, after high school. And, but I was always drawn towards electronic music and trying to figure out how to make that work. It was strange with the different members of different bands. And eventually, through the course of a whole bunch of different iterations of different people, it landed itself with my brother, myself, and Josh, our singer, starting my band Viking. So we basically make like, I don't know, indie bedroom pop kind of thing, kind of like Glass Animals, Foster the People stuff. And so we've been doing that for, I don't know, 12, 13 years in that band. And so we've released, I don't know, several records, dozens of singles. And it's been a fun process where I went from not knowing what a DAW meant to being a producer through that process, learning how to be the person to record and engineer and make and mix and produce music. And so that was this 1.5 long adventure of like learning how to make music.
I remember you telling me that. So it was your brother that knew how to produce first, or?
A little bit, yeah. He sort of knew more than me in the very beginning, yeah. And he knew how to DJ well before me, many years before me.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Their
That's
music's
cool.
incredible.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah,
man.
like it's so good.
I mean, you've mastered probably
Yeah, and I
20
mean, like,
of our
oh,
songs.
I don't listen to his music often, but I'm like, I feel this,
Yeah.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it will connect a tangent, I guess, to Sarah's story once she
Yeah.
gives some background, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're going all the way back to like childhood. I also grew up in a musical family. My dad is a blues singer. He's still
Blues. Ooh.
Yeah, he's still active. Like he still has a blues band and like performs, and on the weekdays he goes to jams pretty much like 3 times a
You guys
week.
gotta watch the Sinners movie now,
Okay.
because it's about blues music.
Oh, heck yeah. Okay, cool. Sick. Well, so my dad, like I grew up with my dad as like a country blues singer my whole life. My mom played keys in their band. So my parents were gigging every weekend, and like that's like the main part of like their livelihood when I was growing up. So I started off singing at so I'm from Calgary originally. I've been here long enough that like this is now my base, but I was born and raised in Calgary. And so like my first introduction to the stage was singing with my dad at Stampede Breakfasts, like when he played Stampede Breakfasts. Yeah. And then I just grew up like singing on stage with my dad, and then in school just choir and everything. And then fast forward to high school, I got into raves. So first went to my first rave when I was 15 at the Army Barracks in Calgary. And funny enough, little side note, I was friends with a bunch of people, mainly dudes who were breakdancers. So we actually went to the raves at first just to like breakdance.
This is when shit was really underground.
Yeah,
this
it was really underground. This is late 90s. I'm aging myself now. This is late 90s. And so I learned how to DJ on vinyl with a Gemini 2-channel mixer that my brother bought. I have a brother that's 1 grade higher than me. And so he taught me basically how to DJ. So at the time I was DJing trance, and my brother was DJing acid techno. Then eventually I started DJing trance and like singing live over it. And then I got into like singing over jungle and drum and bass and whatnot. I steered away from the DJing part and was just like singing more.
Yeah.
Then I ended up getting the underground hip hop scene at the time was like pretty thriving. Like when like Atmosphere was at its height and like Aesop Rock and like all that stuff. So the Canadian rappers, like they were making big moves, and Winnipeg was kind of a hub for that. So I started writing music with different like Canadian rappers, and then I started touring, making like trip hop. Like my first album was trip hop. Yeah. So then now, fast forward 2007, I have a kid, my son Caden, and his dad is he's a very talented rapper, but he's also, side note, an elementary school teacher.
Yeah.
We're still very good friends. Like we live a block away. But I fell out of music for a while because I had my son, and then 3 years later I had my daughter, and it's just like those years are just so all encompassing. So I was hardly even listening to music during that time. Like it's kind of crazy to think back to that period of time. But when I came out of it, when my daughter like was weaned and like I kind of had a bit more freedom, I was like, I need to get back into this. And I was kind of worried that I wasn't going to I would have to sort of find my way in the scene all over again. Because before then I had like played Shambhala a bunch of times, the hip hop showcase and whatnot. Like I had a lot going on.
I think I remember you doing a show here when I was super young, when I first started raving at this basketball gym, and then Henry Fong was after you.
Yes.
Right?
So I was a mom by then. That was like 2011. And I was
I think that was the first time I saw you.
That was New Year's
live.
Eve.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it was New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Yeah, that was New Year's Eve. So that was the first time I did one of Hua's raves.
Yep.
And that was like 2012 or 13.
Was that at Nectar?
No, this is like some center, it was like in a basketball.
It was on Confusion Corner. It was the one on Confusion Corner.
Yeah, Confusion Corner. Yeah, indoor basketball like center.
Yeah, but I remember Henry Fong and like Just Be or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. But yes, but that was after me coming out of the like refinding my.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I was continuing on. Serotonin is my like solo stage name. So I was. At that time, thanks to my homie Stylist Beats, who was like, dude, why are you just like singing and having a DJ, like go get Serato and DJ. And at the time I was like, well, I only know how to DJ on vinyl. Like I didn't really like realize that it was basically cheating.
Yeah.
You know, like you can see the BPM, it's so easy. So started playing my own shows. During my solo career, I did some pretty cool shit. Like I put out a track with Liquid Stranger. I opened for Excision at Skyway twice.
Hey.
And that's like where I'm like laid my foundation and like made friends with like a bunch of these like people who then helped shape my career in the future. Yeah. I started a duo with another woman, Akila. We did songs with like Liquid Stranger. Sorry. Hold on. Rewind. I started a duo with another woman in like 2015, and we put out songs with Zed's Dead, Nightmare, 2 songs with Excision and Snails. Yes, we did some cool shit. Played Lost Lands a bunch, played Bass Canyon. But that part of my life done. COVID kind of hit, and Dave and I had already been together for 3 years. Dave had come on the road and done like lights and lots of like gear tech and tour managing stuff with Akila, but he had his own band. I had my own. We'd never even written a song together until 3 years when we were together. And then we decided to just start like making some music together. We weren't planning on making it a thing really. We wanted to see what happened, because sometimes that doesn't work. You're with your partner, you guys try to make a song, you're like, okay, never mind. Fuck this.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't.
Like, let's save the relationship. This isn't working.
Yeah.
Very pleasantly surprised by how much chemistry there was with Dave's pop background and my EDM background. We just like fed off each other. And we're just like, okay, what if we do this? What if we do this? What if we do this? And then now 5 years later, we've released a ton of music, and it's the best music I've ever made personally, in my opinion. And my favorite, it's definitely my favorite process for making music. Like I've had times in the past where it's been really stressful and it feels like you're swimming up the current.
Yeah.
Whereas with Dave, it feels easy. Like we both genuinely want what's best for the song. Like it doesn't matter if I write the verse and he sings it, or he writes the verse and I sing it. Like whatever makes the most sense for the song when we're making the song is what we care about.
Yeah,
and
sure.
so that really erases the ego part of it, right?
It does work well. I mean, how would you explain to people what your sound is now?
Well, here, I'll let you take over for a minute, because I'm talking for a while.
Dance music's funny because
It is.
because a lot of artists feel pressure to stay in a lane. They feel pressure from their fan base. They feel pressure from their management, maybe their crew, maybe the other artists they associate with, maybe the booking lane they sort of find themselves in. So they feel like they need to, I only make tech house, or I only make drum and bass, or this.
It's becoming a lot of that now. Yeah, everyone's like niched
that.
out, you know.
And we're sort of in there. And don't get me wrong, we're not alone on an island here. There's a lot of people that expand quite wide like we do, but I think our modus operandi for genre specifically is whatever feels right. So we like to explore a wide range of BPMs, which then naturally sort of lend itself to then be all sorts of different genres of EDM. So
yeah,
I mean, I think the idea of it began when, as Sarah mentioned, when her last project ended and we decided to make a song, we didn't really have a plan. And now what we mean by that is we didn't really have a plan on starting a duo per se. It was maybe going to be us writing a song together, and it was going to be released as Sarah's relaunching her solo career. Maybe, there was no real commitment to what this was. It was just, let's just make some music. And so obviously in the beginning, it was very much in the bass music lane. We were living in the 140 to 155 halftime kind of dubstep realm without the drops being too dubstep, but bass music. That's where it began, and that's where some of the writing started. And so the first, handful of demos we did all lived around the 150 range, and that was kind of what we thought it was going to be. And then we slowed some stuff up and sped some stuff down, and then all of a sudden there was some drum and bass, and all of a sudden there was some house stuff, and then there was some speed house stuff. Yeah. Maybe you came into the picture, and it sort of kind of cascaded in every direction. And we have a bunch of half-finished songs that are genres that are so far away from even stuff we've released, and just expanding it furthermore. And, the way that like someone like Nightmare does it, or even Skrillex these days. So obviously he lives in a mainly dubstep realm and has kind of come back full circle to it, but he's happy to make 100 BPM house music, 120 house music, 130. It's kind of whatever kind of fits. And so it's fun for us because we're both vocalists. We both sing on all our music. It's fun to do it in different beat patterns and different BPMs, right? Because it's not always like the same formula. So it keeps it fresh, and that's what makes it exciting. And I won't jump into it just yet, but I suppose a big part of this whole podcast today is to talk about the realm of the direction of the song that we just released. Yeah. That's so far from what most of the music that both of our groups have been making.
By we, he means all three of us. Yeah.
Which is cool too, because no matter what genre it is, if your voice is on the song, that's kind of like your direction or like your stamp on it, right? Yeah. It doesn't really matter what genre you're doing, because Ash Halo is your voice, which is actually really cool, So if I could sing, I would, do that too.
It's fun because so the most simple way that I'll describe it to people in a quick format is I basically express so Dave and I write pop music, and then we remix our own song into a EDM song of our choosing. You know what I mean? And sometimes the song writes itself and we go into these different lanes with we're not afraid of having many different genres within one song. Yeah. But yeah, it's pop music that's turned into EDM music because we love writing pop music. Yeah. And we love making EDM music. So why not?
Yeah, why not?
Mix it together,
That's the way to go.
Well, and one thing that I really learned especially from a past project about enjoying the journey, because it was really stressful at some points in my past with writing music. And I really made a promise to myself, while doing this, to enjoy the journey. And I'm saying this out loud to myself right now, because you do have to always remind yourself that, right? I'll be happy when I'll be happy when this happens. And for us, one thing I have to remind myself is okay, this is actually so fun. I can be happy right now. I can enjoy this. I can not wait to feel the dopamine rush of this situation, Yeah.
Because you're not always going to get those highs all the time, No, they don't happen all the time.
No.
When you get to, you're a superstar and you're in that lane, then those highs are happening all the time, but that becomes your new normal, right?
Exactly. And then you're chasing the next thing. Yeah. Chasing the next thing.
But you do have to appreciate the journey because,
absolutely.
Yeah. Even if you have a big moment, that big moment will keep you high for maybe let's say like a week or two, and then but you come back to your normal life routine, and you still have to, you know, do all these things, and it kind of brings you back down. But you have to already be at like this certain point in your life normally where, you know, you don't rely on those highs to make you feel good all the time, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. One thing that's helped me a lot, and that's, I have you to thank, is meditation.
Yes.
Yeah. So Panda's one of our very best friends, and he's a really good influence on us. And I do take what he has to say to heart, because a lot of the advice that I've gotten from him over the years has like helped me a lot. And so I now meditate every morning.
Something I always recommend is my non-negotiable is meditating.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you can listen to a guided meditation. You can do it listening to some meditation music, or you can do it nothing. But, you know, I think just starting and being able to have stillness in your life is essential, especially in like this day and age where you're bombarded with information everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
You're constantly getting dopamine hits and information from everything.
Oh, and comparing yourself to others all the time.
Yeah, and like, it's like you have this system that's designed to manipulate you in a way where it plays with your attention and your feelings and stuff. So having that kind of stillness is like super important, you know?
Well, and then routine. And so another aspect that you've like implemented that I've taken to heart as well is I don't look at my phone before I've like gone through. Yeah, in the morning. So I'll meditate, and then I'll make my bed. I'll keep my phone on do not disturb, and put on like some sort of podcast that's like something that's informational, that'll like get my brain moving and things going.
Yeah.
But I won't look at any text messages, any like social media, anything until I've had like my full morning routine, yoga, stretching, and holy crap, that like makes such a huge difference.
It's super important.
And that was you too. Like I remember you told me that in Bali, when we were in Bali together a couple of years ago. I remember you telling me.
This is funny enough because when I was in Bali, you know, I was living with Brett.
Yeah.
And I told him this too, and he's like, because, you know, he's busy with the club and stuff. And he's like, oh, I got to answer all this. I'm like, but you already missed the message when it was sent to you.
Yeah.
So you can delay that message another 20, 30 minutes and give yourself time to wake up and, you know, do whatever you need to do to center yourself and then answer. Because the message is already, your reply is already delayed. It can wait another 20, 30 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, you're right.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to wake up and right away you're answering the message and your brain is shooting cortisol out right away, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you need that oxytocin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I believe in like centering yourself and tuning your own frequency before the world tunes it for you, you know?
You know what I noticed too, and a difference between like from before I was meditating to after, is before I would wake up and I'd be like, oh, okay, what do I have to do today? This and that.
Yeah.
And then after meditating, I started waking up and be like, okay, what's today going to look like? All right, let's do I know what I'm doing first, this and this. They're all like self-care things.
Yeah.
And it's weird how, because neuroplasticity, right? Like your brain, you teach your brain.
Yeah.
So I'd been training my brain my whole life to wake up and feel stressed when I first woke up. And then now with implementing these like panda-isms.
Well, a lot of people have been, you know, kind of wired that way. And I'm like, it shouldn't be that way, because you're coming out of dreamland while you're sleeping. And then you're right away jumping into, I think it's beta, which is like your active state, and you're taking out all these things, and you're like shooting cortisol right away,
jarring.
right? So you need to like slowly get out of these brainwave states and then get what you need to get done. Even if it's like 30 minutes. 30 minutes is not a long time. Like,
no, for sure.
You can take 30 minutes to yourself and make your coffee, go poop, whatever, you know, like, and then slowly get your day started. And then you're like, okay, I'm in a good place. I'm centered. Let's look at these messages and let's get things done.
Well, even for Dave, like he appreciates if I don't talk to him for the first like half hour or hour in the morning. Like, just like we can say,
I'm kind of like that too.
Yeah, like we say like, hey, like Tuesday, always kisses in the morning. Like we're affectionate.
Yeah.
Our love language is very physical, you know, so there's always like lots of love. But then here, let's give the brain a chance to wake up. Especially if I woke up before him, then I like leave his brain to like wake up, and then it's kind of vice versa.
Like waking up slowly is just like the way to go.
Yeah. 100%.
Especially if you have the luxury to do it, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly. I know some people have to like get up and be out the door by 5, but then sometimes, I mean, you hear about these like very high achieving people who get up an hour before they have to go to work, even if they have to leave at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To give themselves that routine.
Yeah, for sure.
I was always very confused about that. One of my absolute best friends that I used to travel a lot with about 10, 15 years ago when I was riding BMX a lot and traveling the country for contests. My friend George, he had a full-time day job, and this is back when we were, you know, living this like 8 guys in a 6-bedroom house for $150 rent, living like skateboard bums in our early 20s. And he got his own place, and he liked to get up an hour and a half before work every morning because he liked the time. And without probably even realizing that he was talking about what you guys are talking about, he needed that. And I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all. If I had to wake up and work in the morning, I'm like doing the math backwards. It's like 10-minute shower. It's like, okay, I'm giving myself 45 seconds to spare. That's when the alarm is going off. I'm getting up. I don't need to do anything before I get to work. I am not wasting any more of my day not in bed. But things change as you kind of develop your brain and really get it. Like, I get it now. I understand why he would wake up, because it really set his whole day up for a different experience. You know? Not everyone's like that, but I get it now. And at the time, I thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy your coffee for half an hour before you go to work? And have a coffee at work. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You get paid for that coffee. Like, that was my thought process.
You got to do it in company time.
Like, you know, but I get it. There's a certain thing about being alone and finding your day, you know,
having
finding your moment.
To slow down. And,
it's super essential. And I think the world is just moving towards that more and more, you know. I think maybe because like things have been getting a little busier, a little bit crazier. We have, you know, more technology in our lives more than ever.
I think people talk about self-care more too, and wellness.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. Like, we're at this kind of critical point in humanity, I think. Like I was saying, like, we have so much technology now, and like things that are just coming into our lives that we have to make time for that kind of like, you know, slowing down your thoughts and stillness,
and also, too,
right?
Like, we have 2 kids, right? And so they're growing up so fast. You know, and like Dave and I have been together for 8 years. So like he's their stepdad. We have 50-50 custody with my ex-husband. It's wild how fast that time goes by. And so there's something to like slowing down in your personal life and like taking that time with your family. Yeah. COVID was a real big wake-up call for that, in a sense of like we taught our kids how to play poker. Like we had them DJing for us while we were making dinner. Like, we really spent so much time just like bonding and hanging out as a family. Yeah. And I realized like how much when that was happening, I'm like, I don't want to go back to the real world. Like, this is what life's about.
This is what life's about, you know? Connection and community and all this stuff.
And then when they're at their dad's, we're at the studio and making music, and just, you know, you have to take out like the hustle bustle of like the rest of the world. Yeah. And so some people, like, COVID was horrible for them. For other people, they're like, this is the best. I fall on the side, other than all the like bullshit related with COVID and the government and everything. That's a whole other story. But the being like forced to like ground yourself in your home with your family. Yeah. That side, I miss. Like, that was awesome.
It made people deal with like a lot of things they kind of never dealt with, you know?
Yeah.
You're forced to face it.
Well, and I understand how like lucky we are that we had a peaceful, happy home where we could, you know, just explore new avenues with our children and grow and bond, whereas some people had abusive homes and toxic homes that they were stuck in and whatnot. So it's definitely not a one size fits all, and I can acknowledge that 100%. But for me personally, yeah, we had some good times.
And you birthed a new project.
Yeah. Yeah. The timing is perfect. Like, it's so funny because
we met during COVID.
We did. Well, we met before then, but we became like friends over COVID because we had asked you to remix one of our songs. And then we decided to get together for soup. And then we started going for soup every week ever since. Yep. So like, and then we started traveling.
Good soup brings people together, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. We traveled around Bali, went to the States together a bunch. Yep. Like, it's fun because like you realize how good of friends you are with somebody when you realize how well you can travel together.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, that's a test.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a big test.
When you share a hotel room and then, you know, you travel together and you're always around each other.
Yeah.
That's when you know.
That's when you know, like, if you're like, oh, yeah, this is still harmonious. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we're cut from the same cloth.
Maybe sometimes you go play a show together in Saskatoon and listen to a bunch of metal, and it inspires an idea down the road.
Great segue, Dave.
That leads us into our song that just dropped, Hit the Gas, which is a very cool concept. And yes, that was in the car. What were we listening to? I Prevail?
We listened to the new I Prevail record at the time, and the 2 most recent Bring Me the Horizon records. Yeah. While Sarah slept the whole way.
I teleported to the show. I slept in the back seat the whole time, and you 2 were in the front seat talking about music, and I just slept. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that conversation didn't, like, the beginning of the idea of that song didn't come from literally that conversation in the car. At a later date, I think, is when you reached out with the idea. Why don't you tell us?
I had the idea already in the car. I wrote it in my notes because I was like,
but I don't think you pitched it to me then yet. Okay.
Because I asked you if you knew somebody that I could work with to make something like this, and then you said, let me like look around, because I didn't think of doing it together yet, because you guys weren't like doing metal or anything, right? So I'm like, oh, I need someone that is like doing screamo or metal, and I need them to do like hit the gas. I put in my notes, hit the gas, and then I think Dave reached out and like, did you start on that or get any leads of that? And then it went into a conversation of doing it together. And I'm like, do you think you can sing like that? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yo, let's fucking do it. Yeah. And then here we are.
Yeah.
So do you remember the provisions / guidelines that you gave us in the first kind of run up of how we were going to start the song? Because I can tell the story of how.
I don't remember that.
Because basically, like, I liked this process. It's fun because it's not your typical way of starting a song. Sometimes it's just like laying down a kit and you're like, do I want to make, a 150 house track or a 150 halftime bass track or whatever it is, like sometimes like, where's the idea? But when you come to the drawing board with a plan to a degree, it's kind of fun because you start molding it towards that to fit it. Right.
Yeah.
So I think what you had said to us was, you were like, I want to do a speed house metal song.
Yeah.
And at first, the thought is like, what is that? Right. and so I guess the way that we talked about it, it was having, I think we did a few back and forths with like some example ideas, like reference tracks, like think of like maybe this kind of a style of a verse from a song that's not EDM and this kind of a this. And so I think once we had talked about that, Sarah and I got together and we chatted about it. And I was like, I'm super into this idea. And I think this is the
we were listening to a lot of kind of metal stuff too at the time.
I'm listening to metal all the time forever. So yeah, so it's like constantly ingrained in my brain. So like I think from the first moment, because we started that track on my computer with your directive, right? And so I think that was the fastest I put together like the bare structure of a song in the history of me making music. So I think it was like 2 days of sessions, but almost laid out the whole idea, like as far as
because the vocal was only one take, right? I don't think we ever did revisions on the vocals.
We did.
Oh, we totally did.
We didn't do revisions really on my vocal.
Oh.
Right? But we did a whole other version with Dave that was sort of screamo, and then we decided to make Dave's the more singing, like sultry part.
Yeah, do you remember that? So I had tracked all the drums and all the guitars and all the basses to create the metal part of the song.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly, right? And then I left an empty space for the Speed House drops.
The drop, yeah.
And then the second day, Sarah had written all the lyrics for the song, and we tracked all her screaming vocals for the verse, and then we tracked all of my like heavy screaming parts for the chorus. And then we sent that to you, and you were like, I love it. And then in like a polite way, you were like, but not your part, Dave.
Damn, my memory is bad. Like, how I don't remember this?
And it was, so Sarah had written the lyrics for my part where I was basically yelling like the names of all these different military vehicles. Like battle tank.
Battle tank, monster truck.
Now I remember that part because I was like, maybe not this part.
And then the end was like, make it go faster.
And then you were like, why don't we, instead of it be full time, you're like, why don't you break that down, have it be slower and like, because the vibe of her vocal was very much kind of like an Atari Teenage Riot, angsty, screaming kind of thing. But they go more into like some industrial electronic feeling sometimes. And so we were like, why don't we take it? You wanted it to be slowed down. So then I wrote that. All right, I think we wrote, but I sang that other part that was, like
my heart, I left it on.
Yeah, like the chorus basically that is softer, more beautiful, to bring you somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think, after you said you weren't into the screaming, we tracked that next part like the next day.
I totally forgot about that part. Yeah. I'm like, now I remember because you told me like you're screaming like just words like trucks or stuff like that. And I was like, I'm like, maybe not this part, but For some reason in my mind I was like, the vocal came back to me in one take and it was perfect. But no, there was that part too.
Yeah, but
my vocal came back for.
But
yours did.
But so what happened was we tracked my vocals the day after you told us you didn't like the first part.
Yeah.
Literally like in the next session it was all done.
Yeah.
And then
But we fully agree with you, by the way. Like we were like, oh yeah, this is better.
Because we kept the hit the gas, let's go, obviously.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah. We kind of spanned it out because I think the first initial, when was the Saskatoon show? 2022? 23?
We didn't clean up that second drop, like the hard metal drop for a while. Like that was just like kind of a
2023 was when Saskatoon, so that idea started then. And then even the second drop, we didn't finalize till last year.
Well,
late last year.
That's true. But we did have a working version because we dropped it at Lost Lands in front of like 40,000 people up there back to back. And it went off.
Yeah, I remember that. It was just another Speedhouse drop, but then
there was
the
no metal
new
in that
second
one.
drop is very cool.
Oh, because both drops were Speedhouses.
Yeah.
So what happened was we had been, both of us, like Ash Halo and House Panda, we had both been playing this song out for over a year.
Yeah.
with
Work in progress.
with the two Speedhouse drops.
Right.
Without the metal halftime drop that comes in the end, which changed the whole second drop, obviously. And I think we were just like shopping it and thinking where it's going to go. And it just kind of like, as music works in this industry, sometimes takes forever to find a place to live. And then eventually, it was, did you want to do, or did I want to make more of a halftime drop? I don't know where the conversation.
I think I suggested something that needed to be different because I wasn't feeling that the second drop would go into another Speedhouse drop right away. Because I think I wanted to make it different, and I was playing on different leads, and I'm like, it sounds so good the way it is in the first drop that any variation, it was just me making the sounds more aggressive, but keeping the pattern. Because if I changed the pattern of like the drop, it just lost the like the energy, you know. Well, and then I think we talked about it, and then you like, let's make it a halftime like rock drop, and I'm like, ooh, that's sick.
Yeah.
And then it worked out because I got it back, and I was like, whoa, you know, like
that was. I think that's like one of my favorite drops I've ever worked on. I think I would call it like metal step, you know, like it's like metal dubstep without like big dubstep.
Well, we wanted it to like hit me this like wait what moment, like what the
and that,
you know, like
and then hearing that inspired me to finish the second half of that. And then like, now I have a different drop idea because of this,
and now it's so awesome.
No, it's really cool. I mean,
in my music career, it's my favorite song I've ever written. I don't know, like we have a lot of songs that like I'm proud of and like that are exciting, but that one, I don't know, something about it that just like fucking gets me going.
Yeah.
And performing it live is so fun.
Yeah.
What's so crazy about it too is that your vocal part, Sarah, with the speed that it is in, confuses the ear almost, because this is a 165 Speedhouse track.
Yeah.
165, and it doesn't feel that fast because it just, the vocal and the metal makes it just fit there so that when the Speedhouse kicks in, it just feels like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you look at it and you're like, 165, holy shit, what are we trying to do here? But it works so great.
Yeah, people think it's like 150-ish or something.
Well, because most of your stuff lives in that 150 realm, right?
Yeah.
Well, plus it's hard to like sing to like 165 double time.
Yeah.
But if you're doing Screamo, it works perfect.
No, it worked really well, I think.
Yeah. I want to make more songs channeling that voice because I never channeled that voice before.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fun working with the rock plugins.
Yeah.
Even though I don't even know how to use them because I don't know how to explain the way it's 7 native instruments. It's like when you play a key, it doesn't play that key. Like it has to be within this range for that instrument, right?
It depends on which ones you're using, but like if we're talking about the guitars, some of it's pretty fucking.
What was the one we used? Like something Sunset or
the Sunburst? The
Sunburst, electric Sunburst, yeah. Because I would press it and I'm like, wait, this is not just playing this key. This is playing this key and something else, right?
Yeah. The way that I had programmed those guitar riffs, I had to like take my guitar and figure out the chord I wanted to play.
Yeah.
And then figure out the corresponding MIDI note, which wouldn't play that note, and find the chord, but then it helps create the riff. It's so weird how it's set up, but it's fun though.
Yeah, it was confusing, but it sounded good. And I was like, you know, I want to use that more in my songs. So
yeah. Well,
even though I have no rock background, but
maybe we just have to like make a bunch more songs.
We gotta
like
make
that.
much more.
So welcome to Speedhouse metal.
Yeah. Speed metal step. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
What would you say is like your music influences individually, going like from like when you're growing up to now?
Oh shit! Growing up, like I think one thing that Dave and I very much have in common, like, is in our childhood we went to a lot of concerts, like a lot. I remember being like 16 and having like a stack of ticket stubs like this thick by 16. I was crowd surfing by 14 years old.
Those true 90s babies.
Dude, for real. Like I saw Radiohead on their Kid A tour. I got the set list off the stage. Like I was that was like my life was music and concerts and whatnot. So Tool's one of my biggest influences still to this day. I would say like my top favorite bands of like my like youth would be Tool, Radiohead, Bjork, Cranberries, and maybe I don't know. There's a bunch of them. Like I also loved like Tori Amos and like Tracy Chapman and like stuff that was like way more chill too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's like quite an extensive Korn. I loved Korn.
Korn, yes.
Yeah.
Freak on the Leash.
Yeah, Freak on the Leash, Pantera. Like I don't know. I listened to.
And you're well versed in the hip hop world too.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
So
like, okay, so when I actually I skipped over this a bit, but when I was doing my like solo serotonin shows, like when I like in 2013, like when I first opened for Excision and Skyway, sort of what I was doing a lot of was I was mixing with 4 channels and throwing in like Dirty South rap over top of like trap and like melodic trap beats. And I was just like chopping those in and like bringing them in and looping them and like just having so much fun and making like live mashups with rap music, because I do have a huge passion for rap music, and especially the era of like Dirty South, like Bun B, 3-6 Mafia, Paul Wall, Chameleonaire, like all that world, you know. And so that was like a big so if anything, all that really says is that like I don't have just like one style of music. And then now with our stuff, like we get influenced by a lot of different music.
Yeah, that's great.
And mostly like non-EDM, to be honest, like Fantagram and D Antwoord and
Antwoord.
D Antwoord's like a big, like sometimes like for Runnin', the song we had, the first song that we put out together, like I really like to sort of try and channel other voices. And I was kind of channeling Yolandi for Runnin'.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, it's just like, let me just like find this like almost like Yolandi anime voice or something.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and so yeah, we have tons of inspiration, but
I'm sure Dave's is different, you know.
Yeah, plus Dave's shown me so much music too. Like Dave, as much as like I've followed and loved music my whole life, Dave is that times 10. Like he's a collector. I've discovered so much music through Dave over the years.
I like music. I like music a lot.
Did you ever record music on a cassette tape?
Oh yes, many mixtapes.
Anyone under 25 is like, what the fuck?
I would watch much music with a blank tape in my VCR.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I recorded the first week that One Step Closer came out by Linkin Park.
Oh shit.
I saw when they played it the first time on Much Music. First time ever. They were like premiering it. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I got the tape out and I put it in and I watched till they played it again.
Yeah.
And I recorded it, which is so insane now to think of that.
I want to get my hands on those. I bet you they're in my parents' garage.
That's what's so crazy back then. You would just wait for those moments.
Yeah.
Like, because I grew up with hip hop, I would wait for Rhapsody to come on.
Yes.
And I'm like, yo, I can't wait to see what.
Loud. We record Loud.
Loud was the show.
I was like, what new music videos are coming out, you know?
Yeah.
That's what music videos were like, movies.
Oh, yeah. They were everything. Like that's like I get home from school, Much Music would go on instantly. That or home for lunch, Much Music. Like that's what was on. And it was well before all the reality TV shows kind of took over and ruined everything.
And then weekend you get the Electric Circus and you're like, what is this?
And that shit was like way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, wow. Yeah.
For the kids that don't know, Electric Circus is a live show at the club in Toronto. I don't know which club, but basically just like plays dance music all night, and this shows like the club.
I think they did it in the Much Music headquarters.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think they did it in the headquarters of Much Music.
Well, I was too young to go to that, so I was like a kid.
Yeah, and then they had all these dancers, rave dancers, like all dressed in like, they'd have like fishnet arms and
it was like late
silver bodysuits and just doing like all these crazy dances.
It was like late 90s, like real rave shit. And
yeah.
I was like, you know, I was like 8 or 10 and I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
you know?
It's wild. It's wild.
What was your first electronic record?
Well, my first electronic record was an actual record.
Oh, shit.
It was Plastic Man.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was Plastic Man. That's, for those who don't know, it's like Richie Houghton.
Yeah.
Plastic Man. Very like IDM, like intelligent dance music, like lots of like similar to, if you're familiar with Aphex Twin, like very clicky, like weird ass music. So that was my very first record. I remember because I was really excited to bring that home, and I had been saving up to buy it. And then I collected a bunch of like Platypus, like trance records. But then when I started actually buying CDs, probably, I think Aphex Twin might have been like my first like full EDM. Although Prodigy, like by then I had already had Prodigy CDs and probably Fatboy Slim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first like real dance like record that I had was Fat of the Land by Prodigy. But
Yeah.
But I might have owned some other stuff like not worth mentioning, like maybe like the Alice DJ record or something
Oh,
before
I had that record. I had Alice DJ.
Yeah.
DJ Shadow too.
DJ Shadow, yeah,
Yeah, I
legend.
had that.
I think because you guys are a little bit older than me. When I started getting into dance music, that's when Napster hit the scene.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wasn't buying
Yeah.
CDs anymore. I was
Right.
learning them. But it was an
Yeah.
interesting time because I didn't know the names of anything.
Right.
So I'd be like, trance, and then everything is trance. I'm like, okay. Like the names of these songs would be like trance 2004 and then whatever, and then download it and it's like a Tiesto song.
Right.
And I'm like, okay,
Right.
cool.
Well, and the worst part about Napster is that people would upload music and label it incorrectly so that their music could get heard, which I don't understand.
That's how Soulja Boy blew up.
Really?
I don't
Yeah.
understand how. I guess maybe it worked for one person, but
Yeah.
like you,
Crank that.
people would put like their own band's music up and then label it a bigger band's song, and then their song would get downloaded by millions of people.
Yeah.
But then it's like you never know who that you know the song, but you don't know who it was by.
That's how
What a
he
weird
blew up.
guerrilla marketing thing.
Interesting.
I think it was Crank That or maybe another song, but he named his song as a 50 Cent song. And this is after Napster. This is when LimeWire was around.
Oh, okay.
So this is years
I remember
after.
LimeWire.
And then someone downloaded it, thinking it was a 50 Cent track, but it was a Soulja Boy song, and that's how he blew up.
Did you have that MSN Messenger?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep. I had ICQ too.
Did you have MySpace?
I had MySpace. Yep.
So MySpace was where I made a big turn into dance music. So like I always liked The Prodigy. I was always a huge Daft Punk fan of everything they did, and a lot of things in that realm. And I liked when Radiohead went more of an electronic way, much to a lot of people's dismay. And it was that whole realm of stuff was what I was always into. But then in the 2006, 7, 8, 9 Bloghouse era, MySpace basically activated. That's where it all changed for me, where I found all of these amazing artists like Bag Raiders, the Presets.
Bag Raiders.
Oh yeah, and like Rat-a-tat and like some indie electronic stuff and some heavier electronic DJ stuff, but like the whole Bloghouse era, getting like just every day, like going through other people's and seeing their top 20 friends and then like checking it, I'm like, oh, who's this? Treasure Fingers. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I like that. And it just like that whole Bloghouse era was so awesome to like experience it all. And then one day MySpace was just gone and it all got lost. And so many artists that should have been so big were lost to the abyss. And the saddest thing about all of that is that all these files that are floating out there of all these amazing songs are such low quality that you can't play them anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I have
Someone needs to go
Dude.
and remaster this whole collection of all
I'll
the
do it.
Bloghouse era.
I will do it.
I have a folder of like 7,000 songs of the whole era.
You try to revive it.
So I'll pass that on to you.
Yeah.
Because I want to do a Bloghouse like night and do like a 2-hour Bloghouse.
was like
set,
a
but it's like some of them I'm dealing with like 92 fucking kilobyte fucking.
Was that Hype Machine? That blog? Was it called
Yeah,
Hype Machine?
I wrote
Yeah.
Hype Machine. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Honestly, that's the problem with like any music that's like before 2014, 2015. Like it's all just gotten so much better, the audio quality, that you can't play anything old. And it's similar to like, you know how everything TV and movies is HD now, and you look back at something from like 2007, you're like, whoa, that looks really fucking shitty.
Yeah.
But at the time, it looked great. So same with music. At the time, it sounded great, but now you can't like A and B it. You can't play like a like you can't play like T.I. is one of my favorite rappers, and like I DJ when I'm in town here in Winnipeg, I DJ at a club every Friday, and I'm doing open format for like 5 hours, and I play so much rap music, and so many of my favorite like Dirty South rap, like T.I. and Bun B and all that stuff. Like I can't play it next to like a newer track because it just doesn't sound as good.
It doesn't slap
No matter
the
if
same.
it's 320, like doesn't matter like how high quality it is. It just doesn't sounds like.
Do you ever think it's somewhat connected to the advancement of technology coinciding with the quality of music? Because your reference to TV is interesting because you look at like whatever streaming service you're using, you watch an episode of a show that was from the early 2000s and their version of what high quality was looks fake and weird and shitty, but it's because the TVs have changed, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so I always wonder like because in video, I'll give you a good example at the end of this, because video games are like this for sure. But like with music, it's like, did music from the early 2000s sound great on the speakers because it was the best the speakers could sound. And then now there's just so much better speaker technology. That's why we can hear a big difference. But if you went back in time and played a song from 2025 in those same speakers, would it compare to a song from 2007? Maybe.
Could be, actually.
Might have to do a science experiment.
It could be. I mean, like, even something that's like these rockets, the Generation 4 sound way better than Generation 2 or even 3, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they sound way better. So,
You telling me to upgrade?
no. These are good. These are 8-inch. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, when I compare the 5 inches, I was like, they're heaps better. But you could be right. Like, I want to listen to Blockhouse. I mean, back then when I was listening to Blockhouse, I was also raving and I was on a few things. So, but now that I listen to it, I'm like, damn, who mixed this? Like, it could have been way better. But
they're probably the best with what they had to
yeah,
work with,
for
right?
sure. Now, like, music is so high def and everyone's always pushing the boundaries of mixing and mastering. So,
Oh, yeah.
what's Dave got here?
So I'm bringing a prop in. So look at this old tube TV. Here, you can hold it to the camera so they can see us. Right?
Hey, kids.
So I have this old
Fuck, this thing is heavy.
this old shitty tube TV
Damn.
because, so check this out. So for those that have played the original NES gaming system on any of their, or whatever sort of all-in-one console that has a million games now and people can play all the old games, when you play them on your flat screen TVs nowadays, the characters are just squares, right? It all is just like these really shitty pixelated character squares, right? But here's the thing. When they design these games for TVs like this, the way that the aspect ratio works with how the pixels work on these screens is that those hard edges end up actually rounding. And all the characters actually look
Perfect.
like more shaped properly, not like these weird awkward square shapes. It actually looks better on an old TV like this because it was designed to look like that on the TV like this.
Cool.
So that's why I was thinking about, does older music sound better on older speakers with whatever, blah, blah, because that's really what happened with video games.
Yeah.
Well, we have pretty old speakers at home. Like, we have the wired ones that you, like, have to stick into the back of an amp.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe.
So we could test it out. Because
Maybe.
we have Tech 12s at home, too. So we could, like, throw on some records, like some older records,
Yeah.
and, like, AB them to the rockets we have at home.
We all know
the
the new
speakers.
stuff's going to sound better, and my theory was stupid.
Yeah, but...
True, I mean,
science is
yeah.
fun.
I mean, I didn't have the ear back then, but now when I'm in a club and it doesn't sound right to me, it just throws me off,
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, why is there no, like, 50 hertz and under, like,
Right. And I hate personally, like, as a DJ, it drives me crazy when something doesn't sound as good. And I can tell now in the
Yeah.
headphones before I even mix it in. So I'll just like be like excited that I downloaded this new track. It sounded fine on my computer speakers or whatever. I'm about to play it in the club and I'm like, fuck this. No, it doesn't
Yeah.
sound good enough. And usually you can kind of tell by the waveform and like record box anyways, but like you can sometimes like EQ it enough that it's going to like bump.
Yeah,
But-
for sure.
But like sometimes even then, if you like EQ the shit out of it live to get it sounding better, it still doesn't compare.
Yeah. Well, that's why people big albums, people get remastered, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think I was telling Dave this, I was listening to some old rock stuff, and I was like, who the fuck mastered this? I think it was like a Kid Rock song, like Bow with the Bow.
Okay.
Because I was listening to like at the gym, I'm like, it's like a hype song. And then it felt like very high energy coming in. And then when it dropped, I was like, whoa, this mix is like not in like balance,
Do you think that like people who are not in the audio industry give a shit, or do you think it's just us who are like who just are extra sensitive to that because we make music and mix music and all that, or do you think
Yeah.
do you think that subconsciously like the everyday person would still not get the same like
I think
Like
they
feeling
won't
from the
care as
music.
much, but I noticed on that song, like, like in rock, the kick drum is like most of like the low end, right? Or all of it.
yeah
And when it kicked in, it felt like the low end just disappeared. And I was like, whoa. And I'm like, I can't believe this is on Spotify like this.
yeah, and he probably paid a pretty penny to get
Oh,
that
yeah,
mixed,
that's a big
right?
record.
Yeah.
It's interesting, too, how far people will take it with variations of mixes for different platforms, too, though, right? Like, because, for instance, well, I guess, generally speaking, when, we both do some mixing, you do mastering, the general goal is to make it sound the least shit overall across everything. That's generally what we're aiming for. And instead of making it sound the best here, because then you may sacrifice what it sounds like there, right? And there are artists that have enough of a budget and enough of a team to be able to put together like 20, 30 releases for a song. So for instance, like, you know, don't catch me saying this is true or not, but like as an example, I'm assuming that this has probably happened with like, let's say a Tiesto or Calvin Harris somewhere along the way, where they released a song and there was a mix made for Spotify, and there was a mix made for Apple Music, and there was a mix made for radio, and a mix made for Sirius XM, and because they all play on slightly different frequencies with different LUF levels, right? And then they also have their live version mix that sounds good on festival systems, and I bet you they have a live club version mix that sounds good in smaller rooms, and they're just slight variations in the master with the EQ and whatnot, but like they would go that far to just make it sound the best specifically for this, you know, but then you run the risk of potential it sounding not good somewhere else, whatever. But
well, yeah, you'd end up just crossing over accidentally from one version to another.
I have heard of that though, but yeah, like
I think the best rule of thumb is to just like come up with the best compromise of it's going to sound good in the car, good on headphones, good on a loud system, without like sacrificing too much.
That's why I got those headphones, those Slate VCX.
Do you have a sub pack too?
I have a sub pack. Yeah, sub pack is like so crucial, and they're so hard to get now because I don't know what happened. Sub pack, if you're listening, do you start producing them again?
Yeah, can you sponsor us?
I think you're 3.5 years behind there, buddies.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I wish I knew because it's the most.
Hey, they're working on the chip, man. We'll give them some time.
Yeah,
they're working on the
chip.
They're
making an AI sub pack.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, like it's the most crucial, like you know, piece in my music process because it lets me feel the low end like really accurately, right? So
well, and you travel so much, right?
Yeah, and I can travel with it, and I can mix and master on the road. So and then with those Slate VCX headphones, which is like, for anyone who doesn't know, Slate VCX is a headphone that comes with the software emulation of different studios and different settings. So you have like different pro studios, and you can listen to like the near, middle, or you know, far speakers, and then you also listen to like a club setting. There's 2 clubs in there, 3 cars in there, and 5 of the most famous like headphones out there. So you can jump from each and make sure they sound good on everything, and that way you know.
Sponsor Panda.
Yeah, guys. Sponsor me. Slade. Yeah, Stephen Slade, you watching this?
Well, because honestly though, like I can say this with confidence, like so Panda travels a lot, but he masters all of our music and all of Vikings music, and there is a consistency no matter where he is. If he's in Thailand, if he's doing it in LA, or if he's doing it here in Winnipeg or Vancouver, no matter where you are, there's no like discrepancy between the mixes. They all sound like awesome.
Do you wear the sub pack on your body? Do you sit on it, or do you put it on your chair?
I put it on the floor.
Put your feet on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I stopped using it on my back. Way. And I actually found this out on Twitter during COVID. I think it was Ellis Dream or one of those guys talking about how they have their sub pack on the floor instead of on the chair. And I was like, that's so smart. And I'm like, if I put my foot on it, I can feel the low end like on the floor. So I started doing that, and I never went back.
Cool.
And I felt like
you have to go barefoot. Like, do you take your shoes off then?
Yeah, I have my socks and my feet on it. Yeah. Cool. Because the bottom of your foot has so many like nerves, right?
Yeah.
That you can accurately feel how the low end's supposed to feel.
That's where you're gonna feel like for our sub. That's where we're gonna feel it first.
Yeah.
I put my foot on the sub when I'm mixing. Yeah. I sit there. So fair.
So then if you have a good reference track of how you want to master the sound, you can jump back and forth and know accurately where your low end is supposed to be sitting. So
smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Sub pack, please.
Sponsor Panda.
Not just sponsor me. No. Make some more.
Sub pack.
Oh, make the new sub pack and sponsor all of us.
Yes.
Can I do something fun? Can I hijack for a sec?
Yeah, you can hijack.
Okay, so I wanted to do this thing because I mean I know you're homies with some of good homies with some of the people that you film these In My Haus podcasts with, but because we're all like intimate friends, I wanted to ask you and Dave some fun questions.
Ooh, game time.
Yeah. And so basically I'm gonna ask a question and then I want you guys to point at who you think is most likely to.
This is just between me and Dave, or
and me
can
too.
I point at you too?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, but I guess I can answer too.
Can we point at producer Kenny too?
But okay, we love producer Kenny, but I don't know producer Kenny as well as I know you two.
All right.
So
let's go.
Okay, so who's the most likely to show up late but still crush the set? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Who's most likely to ask about food within 5 minutes of arrival?
I guess him too. Yeah.
Remember chicken tendies
When?
at Lost Lands every time?
Oh,
Chicken
yeah,
tendies,
yeah.
chicken tendies. I need some
Yes, I
chicken
was
tendies.
very hungry.
Yeah. Well,
Panda's got to eat.
I know. Well, you work out the most, right? So I think it makes sense that like
Yes, I
you look
guess.
for food more. Who's most likely to crack a joke when tensions get high?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's most likely to make last minute changes to their set seconds before going on?
But, I
You're
don't know.
fucking making a new song.
Yeah, you're like
Before you're
finishing
going on.
songs before you're
I should break that habit, you know?
Yeah. What about get adopted by a group of strangers by the end of the night? Oh,
Actually, yeah.
yeah. I think Dave more than like me too. I think I could, but Dave for sure.
Yeah, oh,
I
yeah.
feel like Dave could just get adopted by everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Accidentally start a dance circle in the green room.
Yes, it's you.
Yeah. Be the first one up and ready in the morning after a wild night.
Yeah.
Definitely.
not me.
Yeah, definitely Panda. Say something that becomes the official tour inside joke. Probably. I don't know.
You?
I guess you.
Yeah, I think I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pack way more than they need for a 3-day run.
Sarah,
Yeah.
by far.
Randomly disappear and come back with something hilarious or useful.
I feel like that would be me.
Yeah, that's you for sure.
We
Yeah.
almost caught him at EDC leaving when we were supposed to find him, remember?
At EDC?
Oh, when I tried to go find that Renegade or that small stage where Boys Noise was playing, I couldn't find
When
it.
we told, like,
Oh,
we
yeah,
were
you-
telling him to
yeah.
wait.
Yeah,
And
we were going up the stairs and we're like, where the fuck are you going?
Because if we were like 2 minutes late, he would have been
Yeah.
gone, and we would have went to the green room and be like, oh, well,
Side note, we got to talk about the Vegas story after this.
Yeah, we
yes,
will.
I don't want to forget about that.
yeah.
Okay, I mean, this one's obvious. Overpack cables, chargers, and backups for everything. I mean, obviously, that's you. Bring the weirdest snack or drink on the tour rider. Yeah, that's Panda.
It's
Weirdest?
just going to be beef jerky, but
Oh, probably
How
beef
weird
jerky,
that
but
is.
I feel like you're always maybe because you just have like so many interesting like health foods and supplements
yeah.
and whatnot. But I mean, we all take crazy supplements. Get caught filming content in the middle of a chaotic moment. Yeah, probably. Say I'm just gonna chill tonight, then be the last one to leave.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely you, Dave.
Dave.
Get emotionally wrecked by one random compliment from a fan.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, like I get so
You're a little
emotional. I guess like if someone says something sweet to me, like a song meant something to them, I'll just start crying. Yeah. Jump into the crowd mid-set just because the energy felt right. I'm gonna say both of you are that.
Jumping to the crowd?
Yeah.
I haven't done it. I think
No?
both
Okay.
of you more than me.
Jump into the crowd is Dave. I jump around on stage. I won't jump into the crowd because I'm short. It's hard for me to get back up.
Yeah.
But like you go into the
I'm
crowd.
a little shy.
The opportunity hasn't presented itself yet, but the desire and urge to jump into the crowd has presented itself within me many times. It just hasn't been.
I've seen you jump down.
No,
into
but
the
like
crowd.
when you say it like that, I think like crowd surf, full
Yeah.
jump in.
Oh, well, that would still be you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that urge has presented
Yeah.
itself internally in me several
Yeah.
times.
Which is why it's
It
most
just hasn't
likely
been.
to.
It just hasn't yet been the
happen
right
one of these-
show
make it
for
happen.
us to do that.
One of these days.
Yeah.
The big difference is that EDM crowds are not metal, rock, punk crowds. There's more space at a dance show, even if it's packed. There's still space. People like a little space. They like to.
They
move.
probably want you to jump in and mosh with
If
them.
you're
Yeah,
at a
that's what I was
if you're
thinking,
at a
like, that's
rock
what I'm
show,
thinking,
everyone's
yeah.
crammed together. You can just dive and you're safe.
No, but like
and you're good.
you've gone down off the stage into the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm
Okay.
telling you, the urge to stage dive has been there many times.
All right. Well, just so you guys know, if you ever want to like carry Dave across the crowd, he's happy to.
Bring him to the bar and get a drink, bring him back.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
That way.
Okay. 2 more. Design merch ideas at 3 a.m.
You.
Yeah,
that's Sarah,
that's
that's
definitely
you.
me. And then start planning another tour while still on tour. That's also me.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, that was fun.
That was cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Little speed round.
Speed round.
Do
yeah.
some more of those.
Okay. Yeah. Fuck
Maybe
yeah.
more in-person podcast episodes too.
Maybe we should just make that a segment that we do and have the AMA version where the crowd or people through social media ask the questions and then we answer.
Cool.
It's most likely to.
No, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'll eventually incorporate that in.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, and you can do that too. Yeah, you do that with people that you're more like intimately acquainted with.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so what happened 2 weeks ago?
We were at EDC.
But what happened first? You were at our house.
I was at your house.
Working on
going over grant stuff, and then
working out the release plan for your next record and stuff.
I got hit up to do a last-minute speed world at some small venue in Vegas outside the Strip.
And you were flying to Vegas the next day.
And I was going to Vegas.
You were going to EDC.
Yeah.
We were not going to EDC. We had our regular scheduled life here in Winnipeg going. And then, here.
And then I came down to the kitchen, your kitchen.
Yeah,
You were working, and I told you that now I have, pop-up speed world in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. No, it was you that said to Dave, should we go? And Dave was trying to reason it. And then you said something. And then I was like, you could.
Yeah, I thought you guys were just
I thought you were joking. Yeah, because
like,
speed world, okay.
like,
you want to play? Yeah. You want to go, Dave? And then you're like,
are you actually
wait, are you being serious? And I'm like, yeah, we're having a serious conversation. Maybe let's go to Vegas tomorrow.
The show is tomorrow.
So
in Vegas.
Yeah.
That means we have 24 hours. Let's
not even 24 hours. Yeah,
not even
12 hours to plan it.
Yeah. Well, it was 2 hours earlier in Vegas.
We had like 3 hours to plan it. We had to plan it right then and there.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Okay, we had 24 hours to get there.
Yeah. So what happened?
Yeah.
So I got there first, and then you guys went to Chicago.
Well, yeah. So basically, we had planned to go, but we didn't have any passes for EDC. So we were like, okay, well, fuck it. Let's go play the show. And then hopefully we can get some like artist guest passes for EDC because like all of our friends who are playing, we want to go hang out with them. We don't want to just go as GA. Nothing against GA. It's just, that's like, yeah. So we just like threw it out into the universe and we texted our manager, Steve, who was playing and asked him, hey, can you like get a link on some like guest passes for us? Because I think we're going to come play this show tomorrow with Panda in Vegas.
And the reality of his response was predictable, where he's like, it's too late.
It's Wednesday.
Because
he's like, it's Wednesday.
Every artist has already had to submit their names.
Yeah.
So I'll see what I could do, but like, I don't think so. That was basically what I expected him to say back, right?
Yeah. He was like, oh, I don't know. No promises. And so we're like, okay, well, fuck it. Let's just throw caution to the wind and just pull the trigger. And I don't know, like I've been traveling since I was 19. I learned to ride a motorbike in Malaysia when I was 19 and turned 20 in China. Like I really love seeing what happens when you just like trust the universe.
Yeah.
And I felt like I hadn't done that in a while, I was like, let's just like
dive into the unknown and see how it goes,
Let's see what happens. And then the universe pulled through. So basically what happened is, we're driving to Fargo, North Dakota, because Fargo is 3 hours away from here. The only place we could get a flight out of that wasn't $2,000. And Dave and Panda, as we said before, were working on grants. So Dave is like closing these grants before 5 p.m. that day. Well, so I'm driving to Fargo. Dave is working in the front seat on grants, submitting your grant and our grant.
Gathering off my phone, dealing with terrible internet connection, getting really stressed.
And then
the whole
crazy
drive.
Fucking storm hit while we're driving to Fargo, like torrential downpour, like no visibility, like blinkers on driving, like so that was intense. But we did make it to the airport in time. Submitted the grant 7 minutes before 5 o'clock, and then our flight was delayed. So it's like, okay, delayed. How long is it going to be delayed? Well, Chicago was having storms, so nothing could land in Chicago. That was how we were connecting. And so we're like, okay, we are definitely missing our connection, which means we are definitely missing our set. So what do we do? Okay, we can get a full refund from United because it's because of our flight's delayed, not going to make it in time for our show. We wait to see like what Steve says. Like, let's just make a decision when we have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Right? So the flight to Chicago's boarding. Like, Kate, let's phone Steve, see what he says.
So we know at this point for sure that if we get onto this plane to Chicago, we have to then find our own hotel that won't be paid by the airline in Chicago because we for sure have missed our connection. And then the next day we would get on a flight to Vegas and theoretically have to stay in the Airbnb the whole weekend because we can't get guest passes for the festival.
Yeah.
This might be what we're doing. This sounds fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I called our manager, Steve, who had forgotten about working on this for us. And he was out at an event, an industry event, in the middle of some stuff. And I was like, I gave him a quick rundown. This is what's up. We're at the gate. We're about to turn around and go home or get on this plane. We're missing our show tonight. We already know we're missing the show.
And we were okay with going home, by the way. We're like, hey, we tried. It didn't work out. All good.
And please tell me no. Or low chance or unlikely chance. Any of those things. That's all good. Just tell me that. We'll just turn around. And he was like, get on the fucking plane. And I'm like, okay.
He's like, I got you. Get on the plane.
So we got off the phone and we're like, all right.
There you go.
We're in his hands now.
Yeah,
and then we had a wonderful time at EDC.
So
and hung
good.
out with all our friends. And
Wonderful.
It was an awesome time.
Every day was great. It was really good. It was so meant to be. And like, there was a
secured our
catalyst.
passes,
Yeah. Steve got us our artist guest passes. And like, we ended up staying in an Airbnb with Panda and some other homies that were really fun. We had just met them. They were your friends. They were wonderful. And just
that worked out too, because I had seen them when I was boarding my gate, and then I didn't like
because we were going to share a hotel.
Yeah, because we were going to share my hotel.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ooh, they only give me one bed. So I'm like, I don't know if I can change it till I get there.
Yeah.
But then I seen my friends at the airport when I was boarding, and they're like chatting up with me. And I'm like, oh, where are you staying? Oh, we got an Airbnb, but like our friends bailed, and it's like 6 beds. And I was like, what? I'm like, and then I'm like, what if I cancel my hotel? Can I stay with you guys? And they're like, yeah, do you take one of the rooms? And then that ended up working out. So now we
all
each,
stayed there.
Yeah, we each got a room. So
totally.
It worked out great. So
yeah, and then we just Ubered to the like artist hotel, caught artist transpo in and out, and it was just it was all just so fluid, and ran into some friends we hadn't seen in so long, and it's just one of those things where like the universe freaking provided without sounding too hippy dippy, man. Like that was just like one of those situations where let's just let the story write itself, and it did, and then we came back so inspired too. Yeah, you know, like a fire under our ass.
Well, it's just like a networking haven. It's nice to just see so many people that you know doing so well, playing, like just thriving in like these incredible settings of like the craziest production and
the Super Bowl of
incredible engagement with fans. Just like they're there to enjoy the fuck out of every moment.
And one of those moments was Panda.
Well, yeah.
Right? Like we got to be right behind you when you had like I would say this is like the crest of like where your career has gotten to so far. It's going to go way higher, but like to go through this moment and be behind you by your side essentially while you're doing that, having this huge moment was really fucking awesome.
Yeah. To perform a song with Ray Ray was definitely a core memory. And I'm glad you guys were there because I needed that moral support because I was nervous.
And you couldn't tell. Yeah,
you made someone's weekend. Some lucky fan got your sweaty shirt.
Oh, yeah. Someone put my sweaty jersey, yeah.
No, and you know what? And like Ray Ray's whole set was fucking awesome. You on stage there created a very special moment that was really great for like both of you. You added to her set. Like you had that moment for your career and you guys created a moment. And I'll say this from like a little bit more nerdy perspective. Like Dave and I, we've had the pleasure of working with this incredible performance coach, Luther. He's insanely talented and he's worked with us a bunch to like help us like unlock the potential of live performance and how to really like let it come through and connect with the crowd instead of just depending on like, oh, I'm going to channel something from the universe. It's going to go to crowds. Like, no, create moments.
Yeah.
And you created such a fucking incredible moment, Panda. It was, it was so special. I had goosebumps. And then to be able to watch that with how much we've grown together over the last 5 years, and just like one thing that I will say to the camera is that something that we really share intimately with Panda is all ships rise with the tide.
Yeah.
And we both all three of us, we get really excited by each other's successes.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
that's how it should be, right?
Yeah. And so that was a huge highlight.
I mean, I was running the visual in my head like the whole time I was back there pacing back and forth.
Yeah,
I even had a beer. And I don't drink.
You're right. Yeah.
I was standing like, you know what? I think I should have a Heineken right now.
Yeah, just have a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was cool.
Plus, like, you're so fucking ripped. You looked so cool. You're just like,
I don't know. I've been snacking all weekend, you know. Just had a buffet at the Wynn in Vegas. So.
Damn. Yeah. Oh, it's just gone overnight.
No, but it was, but I think if you're nervous about something and once you just dive into it, you just kind of just like get into this flow.
Well, because you create tolerance.
Like you can
That's
either fuck it up or just flow with it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a fight or flight response.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it's good that you have butterflies because that shows that you care.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it also, like the nerves, if the nerves are getting in the way, then you like, the only way to get past it is to just do it
Just
more.
do it and you get used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're creating tolerance. It's like how it works.
Like first time in front of like 40,000 people.
Yeah.
And I have to go on the mic, which I don't go on the mic too much during my sets. And, you know, Grace killing in her set.
Yeah.
And people are so amped up, you know, like she was on fire. And I was like,
yeah.
All right, time to get up. You know?
Yeah.
And before that was Lil Texas, and he's a performer, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like
absolutely.
he has really good crowd control. Like were you guys there for Lil Texas too? Or you guys came after?
Yeah, we didn't get there till after, but we've seen Lil Texas many times.
Yeah, like he has good crowd control, you know?
Very
he's
good,
like a performer and a DJ and an artist, and he's really good at that. Even Ray said that.
You and I stood on stage while he performed it.
I lost last. Yeah. Even Ray said that. She's like, wow, he's such a good performer, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's got the crowd eating out of the
Did he strip
palm
down
of
to
his
his undies again, like usual?
This time, no.
Yeah. You both get naked on stage.
Yeah. Next thing, my pants went off.
Woo, yeah. You need like the Adidas tearaways.
The tearaways, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll start rocking those.
You should. I remember those.
Who was your favorite set of the whole weekend that you actually got to see?
Christoffelstein.
I knew you were going to say that.
Mine was John Casey, but yeah.
We had to leave Dave there.
Yeah, we did. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
Well, we went there together.
we all went, yeah.
And I was very clear about my intentions. And we went there and we watched about 20 minutes together or so. And then you guys go, okay, we'll move on. And I'm like, no, I will remain here till the end.
I don't care what's going on.
I'm watching this entire, that was the first whole set I watched. I think it was the only whole set I watched the whole weekend. From the crowd.
Yeah.
From the crowd, yeah.
Well, then Panda and I mobbed around.
Went
and
to
actually, we should splice in some footage from that because I have some really good footage of us there. And I have some footage at Christoffelstein.
Well, and to put it into perspective for anyone listening, this was a pivotal turning point moment of the day. It was how conflicted Asians especially felt about this moment. Was what? No, I didn't mean to point at you when I did that. But
no, it's because Panda's the one who said it. He's the one who told us it's the great age divide. You're the one.
Because I am so into like the Bloghouse era style of music, and just Christoffelstein is like the current new age version of that, which is so my thing.
Yeah.
Which is why I was 100% going to be at his whole set.
And
to
it was
watch
incredible.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, on two other stages at the festival, was the ISO knock.
The Great Asian Divide.
Yeah.
And over on the other side was the Millennium Slander back.
Yeah.
At the same time as Christoffelstein.
Yeah.
So this was the Great Asian Divide. All the Asians at EDC were pissed.
The Asians' two favorite artists.
Yeah.
On
Millennium and
opposite sides of the festival, the two biggest stages.
See, I've seen Millennium and Slander so many times that it was like very easy to decide for me for that because like this was the first time seeing like Knock 2 and ISO together. And honestly, it was so good. You and I had a really good convo when we were walking back to the artist area before we found Dave. We were talking about how great their set was, and you were saying how like people are saying they're like overrated, and we both agreed that they are not overrated. Like they're actually really fucking good.
I think it's older people that don't understand what they're doing, but I don't understand why they don't understand, you know? Because they're...
I thought it was great. And their like stage
it was unreal,
like,
you know?
Yeah, their stage performance as well, like the way they interacted with the crowd, like everything about the set was really good.
That shit was hype. Like, I've never seen Circuit Grounds that poppin', you know? Like, from where we were standing, and you could see all around, because they had the that set up in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, everybody around this whole circle was jumping.
Yeah.
So it was crazy.
And plus, like, the people that were there, the energy was really, like, positive and hype. Like, it was like, it was a really great, like, vibe amongst the whole crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I loved it.
Yeah, me too. Me too, yeah. So that was sick. But for me, John Casey was my favorite set. It was on the first night, the Friday. We were there, and...
At the new stage?
It was the African stage.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Was it Afro House stage or just like kind of like
no, it was like I don't know, Afro. No, it wasn't Afro House.
This is like an African theme vibe,
theme, yeah. And so so John Casey's a homie. We became friends with him actually when you were playing with Dr. Fresh with John Casey. And yeah, we just super vibed with him. And so we ran into him at EDC in the artist area, and he's like, I'm about to play, come hang. So we came down, and that stage had like Shambhala vibes. Like it was fucking gritty and like I can't even express it like that. I was I remember talking to some of our homies because we had a whole bunch of friends roll up too that we weren't even expecting to be there. And all of us were like, dude, we're not expecting this vibe here. Like this kind of like intimate, like dirty, gritty vibe. And the thing too is John Casey is so multi-talented with his like the way he mixes and the different genres. So he was like going into like Afro beats with like dirty trap. He's like dropping his Troy Boy collabs in with like this other songs we've never heard of before, but we're just like, you just had that like face on the whole time. You're like, oh, what is this? And people are just like getting down, man. Like, yeah. So that was really special for me. Like, I thought that was sick.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I think I missed that stage. Where was it?
It was right by...
it was in between Wasteland and Bass Pod.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like where they're split, it's like in front, in between.
Yeah. But down.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm glad we got to experience that whole weekend. I mean, we both came back very inspired from it, so...
Totally.
What do you have envisioned for Ash Halo in the future?
Well, here's a little bonus feature. If you turn your attention to the screen behind you, there's
shit.
There's a bit of a music video going on. We have a few more things to shoot and a lot more to edit, but there's going to be a Hit the Gas music video in the near future. Yeah. So that's something we're working on.
We also have 2 other music videos.
We have 2 other music videos coming out, and maybe a third other music video coming out if I can make it work. So I'm working on learning more about editing videos, and so if that's a thing.
We had a goal in November we were sitting on so many tunes that were like almost done, and we just had this goal. We're like, you know what? We want to release a new tune like every month or so for the like foreseeable future until we feel like we've put out enough songs for a period of time. And so we've kind of pretty much met that goal, you know, for like, it's now it's June. Holy shit, it's already June. Yeah. And we still have another song coming out. We just released a song on May 30th, another song coming out we released a song on June 30th, and then we released a song on June 13th, and then we have another song coming out with some homies, probably in the next like 6 weeks or so, and then so on and so forth. So I think we're going to continue that, and then some things that we can't talk about yet.
Let's go.
that might involve you.
Whoa.
You know? Yeah. There's no shortage of tasks that involve what we're doing, and so we're very busy in the best way.
I feel like there's no shortage of inspiration too.
That 100% that.
Yeah.
100% that. I really find that the content creation side of it and the editing and all that kind of stuff can feel daunting, and it's still a necessary part of what we're doing. Like, I record these pulse checks where I just talk about lifestyle like every week and whatnot, and those are a part of it. But I just really feel lately like the performance side of it and the writing music side of it still needs to stay in the forefront, because that's where the happiness lies.
Yeah, and that's what matters most, right?
Yeah. So
music always has to come first.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's the other biggest thing that's like there for us, is that we have a dozen really great demo ideas that need to come to fruition, the kind of way that we kind of reverse engineer a pop song into EDM, and another dozen or so handshake deal collabs that haven't started yet that all need to get started next. I mean, 2-3 dozen handshake collabs, you know, after a weekend like EDC, how many did you have? Like, yo, we should make a track. And it's like, I already forgot how many people we said that to, right? So there's a lot to do regarding that. And for me, on a personal level, coming back to what you guys were talking about more, I have not yet experimented with any of this meditation at all. I've never brought that up, but I want to, and I'm going to. I do kind of my own sort of meditation-like thing with me being in silence and making.
Well, I guess you guys wake up at different times then, right?
We usually do, yeah. But I don't ever listen to like guided meditation. And I don't ever like just sit there and do it. But I think that my brain is built for something like that. So there's a forever ongoing kind of self-help thing kind of going on in our brains in any ways. So it's like, I've been reading a lot more.
Reading is a meditation too, you know? I was like, it's basically one-pointed focus on something, you know? So
yeah. Well, and I study Mandarin like regularly too. like as like to help my focus, and also to like do push-ups for my brain so that I don't get like dementia one day or something, you know.
Learning new things all the time is very important.
Yeah,
I love learning. It's like it's just, I don't know, it's essential.
So essential. It's like brushing your teeth.
Yeah,
it's very important.
Oh, that's good.
I wonder, I wanted to ask you, Panda, what do you think is like the most, like looking back now, like at when you started and then where you're at now, what do you think is like something that most like beginners get wrong in the beginning, or like have like what advice would you give to like to an artist who's someone who's like good at producing but hasn't really like figured out what to do with that talent and wants to make a career out of it?
I would say come up with an organized and structured plan. Just so you have some sort of direction of where you want to go, instead of kind of just doing things and hoping that someone's going to come and save you.
Right.
Does that include like brand development?
Yeah, I would say like brand development and doing all that stuff kind of early. But it could be hard too if you don't know what your sound is or what your direction is. So I think getting to really know yourself first, and then knowing what your sound is, what your direction is, what your branding is, and then developing that plan.
That's good advice.
But also like really knowing yourself too. Instead of just, I think a lot of artists reach for managers and teams too quickly.
I agree.
Especially young artists that aren't really touring yet, or touring outside of their hometown. For some reason, they feel like they need a manager, but you do not. You can do all that stuff yourself, and then wait for the right manager to come when it's at that time in your project where you're handling bigger things and you need an actual day-to-day manager.
Would you say that for like some questions regarding the like YouTube free school, they could like get some answers and guidance?
Yeah, for sure. There's so many, podcasts, there's so many resources out there now for free that you can, figure it out.
Yeah.
A lot more than when I first started, for sure.
Oh, God.
Even production-wise, there's a lot more resources out there on YouTube for free, so.
You know what's interesting, too, actually, that you just made me think about is, like, not waiting on other things to save you. I think one aspect of this sort of last, like, 7 or 8 months that Dave and I have been working on releasing songs, the freedom of releasing them ourselves versus waiting for certain songs. Like there's a couple bangers that we've waited for specific labels for.
Yeah.
But having the industry sort of shift that has happened with like Create Music Group, and there's some others like it. Like we're with Create Music Group, and they essentially like act as like a label and a distribution service, and their staff are fucking incredible. They're wonderful. But the freedom to not have to like depend on someone else to make moves is so like,
I think
we're
in that time now where you don't have to rely on big labels as much to kind of make things happen for you, especially, if you put out enough content and push it yourself, right? Because the label's not going to do that for you, like even if you sign to them, right?
Yeah.
Like they'll provide you the resources to do like maybe a music video, stuff like that. But if you don't have access to a big label, you can't get on a big label yet, and you really believe in your song, you might as well just put it out and make like a bunch of content for it and push it yourself.
Promote it yourself. There's so many.
Because I've seen people like post 50 TikToks of the same song, and then eventually it just blows up.
Yeah.
Because
Connor Price is like a great example of someone who's like built
so
their
many.
whole career off of content and whatnot. It's like pretty.
Especially if you're new and you really want to get your foot in the door quickly, I think that's the best way. Yeah.
Taking action, not waiting for. That's good
advice. That waiting game can take a long time, and it can be, what's the word? You kind of feel like defeated sometimes if you're waiting forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're not answering me, but
Well, and then it causes you to do your own like inner like self-sabotage about yourself, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've probably been through that too, where it's like
so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same, dude.
Well, people get lost in like not realizing that it's okay to be in the development stages of your branding. It's okay to be in the development stages of finding your sound, like some people may feel like the first track they fully complete and get mastered is going to be the one that makes it for them. But in reality, it's shit. And it's okay because you need to make a few shitty songs so you just understand the tools you're working with and help develop
maybe a few hundred shitty songs,
yeah,
you know? Like,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And
well, I was going to say that, like, I listen to, like, we all do. We listen to a lot of, like, sort of self-development literature, right? Or read it. I mostly listen. And across every spectrum, whether it's making music or being like the CEO of a big company, it's focusing on the process and not the outcome.
yeah.
And that goes with everything, because if you're just focusing on the outcome and not like letting yourself be like, just trying to make the process the best it can be, then it essentially feeds the outcome. You're like ruining the outcome by only worrying about the outcome.
I think that's one of the things I don't like about social media now too, that it's very easy for people to compare themselves. So someone will see like an artist that probably has already put their 10,000 hours in, they're 10 years into their career, that they don't, like, someone wouldn't know this, right? And thinks like, oh, they just popped off in the last 2 years, like, and they want to get to that right away, and they like compare themselves like, well, I have to do all these things right away to get to that. But it doesn't work like that, because everyone has their own journey. Like, some people can get lucky and pop off in a year just because of the resources they have, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you never know. Some people just have like a financial backing where they don't have to have a job and they can just make content all day, and you know, and they're able to get out there faster.
Well, Adventure Club, like, they're good homies of ours, and like I remember like talking to, I can't remember if it was Leighton or Christian about this along like many years ago, and they're like, yeah, it all happened like really fast. They were making really great remixes of a bunch of different songs, and then it just like popped off. So they're one of those acts that they blew up really young.
Yeah.
You know, but it was just like the right timing, the right music, the right sound, everything just all at once. So, but it's funny though, because like people do hear those stories and they're like, well, when's that going to happen to me? But that actually doesn't happen to most.
That doesn't happen to most. And everyone has
more. That's
yeah, that too.
And then and you know, some people, like someone like Chase and Status, you know, they've been around for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And like, you know, they've put in a lot of years and hours, and you know, that Boiler Room moment was really what really, you know, popped them off. And
for real. Yeah, it takes that moment. Well, Dave and I like have had this conversation about, you know, as we're getting older, like when are you too old, you know? How long do you like almost like hide how old you are? And there comes a point where you just have to like own it, you know? And just like own it, because like you're never too old, you know?
It's almost cool to be old now in this game.
I think so. It's like, it's almost like,
I don't think it's like 26 or 2015 anymore, where it's cool to be like, I'm the 18-year-old superstar, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody cares about that anymore.
Well, wouldn't you say there's like an anomaly or a niche to like being like, our oldest is 18.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our fans are the same age as our kids. So now a lot of these kids who love our music were the same age as some of their parents.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's like a novelty to that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? So I don't hide from it anymore. I talk about it in the Pulse chats.
Yeah, I think like, most people don't care anymore. I think it was just around that time when the EDM boom happened, and it was like Avicii and Martin Garrix, because they're all so young.
Yeah.
And then even people, when they're sending demos to labels, like, oh, I'm a 14-year-old producer from whatever.
Yeah.
It became such a big thing that people were making memes like, oh, like, I'm in the womb and here's my demo, you know?
Yeah.
But like, you don't get that anymore, where people are like putting their age in like the demo emails. So yeah, I don't think anybody cares, right? Like, you have people just like actually sprouting their careers finally in different age groups, right?
Well, would you say like once we decided to just own it, that was very freeing? Because I felt like huge sort of like weight lifted off, like, because we look super young, so people don't assume that we are as old as we are.
I've never ever felt like I've tried to hide it or needed to hide it or was gonna hide anything other than be fully transparent. It's funny though, in the other end of the spectrum, my pop band, when we were 31, two of us were 31 and one of us was 28, we were working with some people out of LA, and they linked us up with this guy who had a big financial backing that was potentially going to jump in and like fund us and like do.
Was this when you went to Anaheim? Because I kind of remember that. Remember we were talking about you need to be in your 20s?
This is where I'm going with this.
Okay.
So then the guy who was linking us up with the other guy was like, but you need to lie and you all need to be 29 or under. He won't work with you if you're 30. And it was like, well, two of us are 31. And we like kind of were doing it, and then we were like, fuck, this is stupid. We don't want to pretend that and we just never ended up doing it. But he wanted us to lie and say that we were all 29.
I can see that.
That was the guy's cutoff to work with us, and it was like, this is crazy.
I guess I can see that too, from a standpoint of like certain like managers or agents, and they look at you as like how much time do I have on this project? You know, like how much time can I get out of you guys, right? Yeah.
But that's not the type of person you want to work with.
Yeah, exactly.
Music, so you know, like one thing, like we just signed with AB Touring, like we just switched agents.
Yeah.
And we bonded with them on a level that I was so pleasantly surprised by, like how truly human they were. Like they believe in the project and they're excited about what we were doing. And the conversation didn't lean towards like, well, what are your numbers? How many tickets have you sold? This or that. Like they cared about what we were doing.
Yeah.
And that was just such a like check mark in like, in my heart, as cheesy as that sounds, you know what I mean? For like, oh my God, I'm so glad that we're working with people like that.
Yeah, that's very refreshing.
So refreshing.
Especially in this day and age where a lot of like people like agents or managers, they want to onboard somebody that already has, you know, a product that's, you know, already like all put together and everything.
Super lucrative. Right? It's already super lucrative.
Yeah, it's already popped off, and you know, they want to hop on, right? So that's very refreshing to have someone that doesn't care about that, and they can see the vision, and they're like, "Hey, well, I want to hop on now and ride with you further,
and be
right?"
a team, and like they want to be a part of the update emails that are with the manager and whatnot, you know. So
and that's very rare these days. I mean, like a lot of
great.
You get that a lot where if you're an artist, they'll ask you like, "Oh, what are your numbers? What have you done so far? What are your markets?" And then they'll decide if they hop on or not, right?
Yeah.
But it's very rare to see somebody hop on a team and be like, I see the vision and I want to grow with you and let's work together.
Well, and doesn't that just reflect the whole idea of enjoying the journey too? You know what I mean? Like if we could die tomorrow, and are we surrounding ourselves with people that like lift us up and that inspire us?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I think that's very important.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good point to leave off, but I also have to ask you guys this question I ask all my guests if you could give your younger self advice, what would you say? You can start with whoever.
Go ahead, babe.
How younger? Just in general?
Just in general, I don't know. Like your 15-year-old self.
Learn music theory, you motherfucker. Learn it. Practice the piano. Learn it.
All right.
I always loved music, right? We talked about that earlier, and I was a drummer in bands, and then I wanted to make more electronic stuff, so I switched to keys and then started learning production and whatever. It was a very slow learning thing over a decade of a little bit at a time. But what pushed that to the back burner for many years was BMX. I traveled and did extreme sports for my late teens, early 20s. That was my sole existence, was extreme sports. And that was fun, but I destroyed my body and realized in my mid-20s that I was never going to have a career or make money off of that. So, good experience. Wish I just did music from the beginning. Should have done that. Should have done music's where it always should have started. Happy that it came back around full circle to music, so I'm happy where I am. But learn music theory when you're 15 instead of when you're 35.
I feel you on that. Sarah?
Okay, well, I have two, and one I can't say on the camera because it would be, don't align yourself with this person.
Okay.
But we'll just leave that one at that.
All right.
But my the other one that I would for sure say to my like elementary school self would be, you are not broken, you are neurodivergent. You have ADHD and there are ways to cope with that and hack it.
And make it a superpower.
Make it a superpower. I didn't get diagnosed with ADHD until I was 40 years old. I'm 42.
Oh, wow.
So, 39. So 3 years now, I have been aware of my brain, and holy shit, could I have used some support earlier.
Yeah.
Like, women are very notoriously underdiagnosed, especially from my generation, because they were only studying boys back when I was a kid. And women present ADHD very differently than men.
Yeah.
And girls and boys. And so we mask a lot of our symptoms to like people please, right? Yep. And a lot of our struggle is internal. So upon learning of my like diagnosis of ADHD, which was a very vigorous it was like 9 hours of tests and shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which I'm very glad, because I don't want to be slapped with a prescription, you know? I did a deep dive, and as is like an ADHD thing, you fucking hyper focus on stuff. So I did a huge deep dive, and oh my God, like my life would be so
different,
even though like I obviously don't have regrets per se, because the things for example, like the fearlessness, like traveling all throughout Asia when I'm 19, those types of things, those are very much a byproduct of ADHD.
Yeah.
Right? The creativity, the inability
wanting
to quit. Wanting adventure, like music, like not being able to work a 9 to 5, like that. I'm very happy about all that. But could I have used some support, and would I have come a lot further by now if I had that support? 100%. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I would tell myself. Be like, girl, go get tested.
And now you could you could tell the new generation now they're listening to this, you know, they'll know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say that with caution that like, I think honestly, like I think ADHD is getting way overdiagnosed. Like because I hear about people who are like, oh, I just go and talk to my doctor and tell them that I'm going through this and this. It's like, and then they give you Vyvanse. Yeah. And I'm like, don't you think maybe you should like have a little bit more in-depth tests before you take speed every day?
Yeah.
You know, because there are side effects and like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
That's a thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do wish I understood my brain earlier.
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. But we're living in a time now that you have all the tools and all the resources, right?
So grateful.
It's a great time.
Hey, I'm so grateful. Unfortunately for Dave, I found out because both my kids have ADHD, and he's like this very like...
Dave's locked in.
Dave is like living with 3 people with ADHD, and he's neurotypical, and he's very organized and clean, and we're a little bit chaotic, and I'm sorry.
He handles it well.
He handles it well. I love
most
you.
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time, yeah.
I love you so much.
He's got it well.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have Dave.
They are very lucky to have Dave, yes.
I feel lucky to have Dave. I don't feel lucky to have both of you. So.
We feel very lucky to have
Does anyone
Panda.
ever ask you the question back?
Yeah, and I usually give the same answer.
Yeah? That you wish you got diagnosed with ADHD earlier?
No. I mean, I probably have a little bit, but yeah, I mean, you know me.
Yeah.
No, people ask me that, and I always tell my younger self is to not listen to anybody unless you really trust your gut. Yeah.
Great advice. Yeah.
I feel like I was maybe like naive when I was younger, and I kind of just took advice or like just out of like respect or something like that.
Yeah.
And it didn't really lead me somewhere good, even though it probably went against my gut too at the time. You know, I wasn't as in tune with it. But I would say always, it's better to know yourself completely first. So when someone gives you advice, that you know if it's right for you or not, right?
100%.
Especially in the industry, I feel like there's a lot of advice, and sometimes it can come with biases and, you know, underlying stuff with it, you know, so.
Well, and I wish I would have followed the advice of some of the people who I knew had my best interest in mind.
Yeah,
you know, who were
for sure.
Yeah. I wish I would have like trusted my gut more with those situations in the past too, and then ignored other situations.
Especially when you're young and you're new in the industry, you're kind of like bright-eyed, and you know everyone's.
You really are.
You know what I mean?
You lack a filter, hey?
Yeah,
like a filter to be able to see the bullshit.
You're just excited to be here, you know. You're like you're like the new kid on the block, and you know like you want to make friends with everybody, and then you slowly realize that everyone doesn't have the best intentions. So this is why it's important to like know yourself first, and when you know yourself, you know what's right for you.
Do you find, because I still run into this issue sometimes, is I just never expect, sometimes you don't expect other people to do things to you that you could never do to them.
Yeah.
And then it bites you in the ass.
Yeah, for
you know?
sure. I mean,
but I'd rather be the person that gets bitten in the ass than the person who does that shit to other people.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it all comes back around eventually. So.
It does. Karma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Group hug.
I think that's a good point to end off.
Yay!
You gotta tell people where to find you on your socials.
Okay.
And why come into that?
Yeah, come into the group hug. Okay. You can find us on Instagram, Ash Halo Music, and same with TikTok, Ash Halo Music, and if you just Google Ash Halo, Spotify, ASH space HALO.
There's a website that has the links to it all, like everyone has. It's easy to find.
All the things.
All right.
Yay.
That was In My House with Ash Halo.
Woo!
Thank you guys. Love you guys too.
Yeah, thank you.